Good morning, happy Monday, February 3rd. This is Wake Up with KERA News, and I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. Despite Punxsutawney Phil predicting 6 more weeks of winter, here in North Texas, it feels more like spring has already started, as highs in the 80s are expected for all this week. Evenings will see a cool and comfortable low in the 60s for today, tomorrow, and on Wednesday as well. Imagine being served a cancer warning alongside your favorite cocktail. We'll hear why some scientists say that could be a good idea after today's news. Dallas is looking for its next police chief, according to a press release sent out on Friday. The national search comes after former Chief Eddie Garcia's resignation last year. Dallas City Manager Kimberly Beiser-Tolbert also announced a local and regional search to find a candidate to lead the city's fire department. The ACLU and other legal groups are encouraging Texas school districts not to adopt optional K-5 curriculum. They say the Blue Bonnet curriculum, which was approved last year, focuses too heavily on Christianity and infringes on students' First Amendment rights. Some districts like Denton ISD have already opted not to take on the curriculum. Growing research shows that alcohol can lead to certain kinds of cancer. Last month at a congressional hearing, Vivek Murthy, the former U.S. Surgeon General, proposed putting cancer warnings on alcoholic beverages, much like those we see on cigarettes. Dr. Ernest Hawk is Vice President and head of the Division of Cancer Prevention and Population Science at the University of Texas MD Anderson Center. He talked to KERA's Chris Boyd about why he thinks now is the time for that change.
Is it possible to put any numbers to this, like how many premature deaths alcohol might contribute to from cancer in any given year or for a particular population?
It is seen as the third leading preventable cause of cancer in the American population, trailing behind tobacco, which remains as the number one risk, as well as obesity, which is estimated to be the second most prevalent cause for concern as relates to cancer.
Is alcohol use linked to an increased risk of all kinds of cancer, or are there certain forms that seem to be especially related to people's drinking habits?
Alcohol is now convincingly associated with 7 sites of cancer. They extend from the mouth, the pharynx or the throat, the voice box or larynx, esophagus, colorectum, as well as breast and liver, of course, which is probably the best understood and longest understood.
In terms of cancer risk, can we assume all forms of alcohol are equally hazardous if we take them serving for serving? Like, is there a reason to think a glass of beer is better for us than a shot of vodka under otherwise equal conditions, or should we assume they're the same?
Scientists, I think, have largely demonstrated that alcohol exposure is the problem, and it's regardless of the type of alcohol that you consume. The only remaining question is this issue of wine consumption and whether that is spurious or indeed a beneficial relationship. The type of alcohol is not really felt to be impactful. All alcohol is the problem.
These kinds of shifts in science, a message that held for 10 or 20 years now being changed, can frustrate non-scientists. It is actually a sign of progress, though, right? That recommendations might change as new evidence emerges and gains the confidence of the broader scientific community.
Absolutely. Look back 50 years ago, we didn't have nearly the evidence of tobacco and its associated harms. Now we associate 17 different sites of cancer with tobacco exposure, and we realize that even low levels of exposure or indirect exposure, secondhand exposure, someone in your family smoking, but you're around them a long time, raises your risk. We had no idea of that 50 years ago. All of that knowledge has been transported out now to the public. And, we have things like clean air laws that are benefiting much more broadly. So I think it's exactly that. The fact that these recommendations change over time as a result of science is a very good thing. It may be frustrating, but it's very important that the public is kept aware of the risks that we're aware that have been identified.
Looking back at the history of something like public health campaigns to convince Americans of the hazards of smoking, Dr. Hawk, how long do you think it might take between this moment when there is this surge of messaging about alcohol and cancer risk and broad changes in Americans' drinking behaviors?
I would hope that it would be instantaneous, but of course, that's never the case. Usually it takes 5 to 15 years for this messaging to start impacting behavior. I'm encouraged, however, because younger generations of Americans seem to be drinking less and less frequently. And that cultural shift is what I hope will change the public's, plus these public education campaigns will together result in a quicker benefit.
That was KERA's Chris Boyd talking with Dr. Ernest Hawk with the University of Texas MD Anderson Center. In a seismic trade many are calling the biggest in NBA history, Dallas Mavericks star Luka Doncic was sent to the Los Angeles Lakers for All-NBA center Anthony Davis. Doncic released an emotional farewell to Dallas yesterday, saying, "For a young kid from Slovenia coming to the U.S. for the first time, you made North Texas feel like home. In good times and bad, from injuries to the NBA Finals, your support never changed. Thank you for not only sharing my joy in our best moments, but also for lifting me up when I needed it most." He went on to say, "Dallas is a special place, and Mavs fans are special fans." And those fans will have to wait a bit before seeing their new star, Davis, take to the court as he is rehabbing from an abdominal issue. But they'll want him to take the court sooner rather than later, as the Mavericks lost big to the Cavaliers last night in the wake of the trade, 144-101, giving up a stunning 91 points in the first half. They'll take on the 76ers tomorrow and hope for a better result. Head to Stage West Theater to see Primary Trust now through February 16th. Primary Trust tells a story of friendship, self-discovery, and new beginnings. For more information and other fun things to do, visit kera.org/calendar. Thanks for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. The show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter and get good morning vibes from our colleague Catherine Hobbs. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.